Today's video, I want to talk to you about taking those goals and priorities that you have really drilled down to figure out what's important to you and what do you really want to get done, not only this week or this month, but what are your longer term priorities and how can you start fitting in some of those daily actions that benefit these long term goals short term in these daily and weekly bites. Often, I find that the reason we continue to put off these big projects or starting a new workout plan or starting something new in general is that we are so focused on this end result that we want to achieve that it becomes overwhelming to even start. And so I like to work backwards and really think, okay, if I have my list of priorities, I know what's really important to me. Before I know or I need to know exactly what I'm going to be doing in the time allotted, I need to set aside the time. And if I'm saying it's a priority to me, then it's a priority that I make it a part of my daily calendar or my weekly calendar. So, just going to use fitness as an example because I'm in the health and wellness space. So often I hear from my clients that they want to lose weight or they want to come up with a routine that they can work out, but they're very stressed and overwhelmed with this current schedule that they have because they're working full time because they have kids. Hi, that was me when I started. I was so stressed and so overwhelmed. I didn't know where to start, and it wasn't until I really took a step back and looked at my existing schedule and just made a decision of what were some things that I could shift and change that allowed me to do something that I knew I needed, that I knew I needed to start and I wanted to continue making a habit a part of my routine. So, step one is look at your current calendar, audit yourself. How have you spent the last 7 days? And I think you can do this in a couple ways. Pull up your calendar. If you don't have a calendar, you don't use a planner, you probably have a pretty good idea. But ask yourself, what do my mornings look like? What time do I set my alarm? Do I set an alarm? How much time do I give myself before I have to be somewhere or I have to get a kid up, right? Sometimes it's one and the same. Sometimes maybe you're not a parent, but you do have to leave the house at a certain time for work. Or maybe you are a parent, you have to get yourself ready to go for the day before your kids get up or before you all leave the house for school, for work, or whatever. So look at the things that you have done in this past week. What does your approximate schedule look like? Start there. And I think a really simple way to do this, if most of your days look the same, I know that most of my weekdays look the same outside of maybe taking a kid to soccer practice on Monday or, something I have once a week. My daily schedule looks pretty much the same. My best visual for you is to take a piece of paper and just draw a huge circle on it. And I want you to, I know there's 12 hours on a clock, but I want you to give yourself 24 pie pieces. So instead of, you can draw the clock and then just draw an extra line in front of all of them. So you have from midnight to noon on one half of your circle, and you have from noon to midnight on the other half. And this sounds so silly, but sometimes we just need the visual to figure out, like, oh my gosh, where are we spending our time and where is it going? Because it feels like I've got none. And I usually start with your sleep and take, for me, I'm in bed usually by 9 or 9:30. So I just use a highlighter or a marker or whatever, and I color in, from 9:30 until 5:30 in the morning. That's when I'm sleeping. That's when my alarm goes off at 5:30 or 5:45, kind of depending on my schedule or my routine. And then I will load in what do I have going on in the morning. So if your morning routine is something that you're trying to figure out, instead of starting by filling in what you're currently doing, fill in the things that are your non-negotiables. Okay. So start by filling in when you're sleeping, when you're working, like when you actually do not have any time. And I want you to this is going to be a two-parter, okay? Is if you audited your schedule this last week and you highlighted what you did, maybe I know from usually 8:30 to 9:30, I'm sitting on the sofa with my husband. I have like an hour every evening that I just watch Netflix or, Apple TV or whatever. I usually have a break between, the kids getting off the bus and us eating dinner. So you can start filling in those things that are your non-negotiables, and then you can start filling in those things that you typically do. The other thing I suggest as you're figuring out, well, gosh, I have like 3 hours of gap in my day. I don't understand what's happening. Go look at your screen time. Pull up your Instagram and check and see how many hours you're on Instagram. Check and see how many hours a week you are on Facebook. I am like on Instagram a lot because I run a business on social media, right? So maybe you run a business on social media and you have those things too. I actually have like a timer on my Instagram myself that if I'm on Instagram for more than 45 minutes, it kicks me off. And you're like, oh my gosh, 45 minutes, that's so long. I'm doing like business activities on there, but sometimes I get distracted, right? But look at your social media time. How much time are you spending doing these things? And it'll give you a good idea, a good snapshot of how much maybe free time that you have, that instead of doing something that could serve you, you're just like, I need something that serves me in this moment, and that is sitting on the sofa and doing absolutely nothing. But as you are planning your week, those are the spaces in your calendar that you will have to fill in with anything new that you want to try. Okay. So you have this audit, so you have kind of a basic idea of where you've spent your time this last week. Then as you're looking to your following week, I'm going to do this in a week and I'm going to do it in a day. Okay. So I'm going to break down how I schedule my week. I put everything on my calendar that are my non-negotiables, right? So I work from home right now, but when I worked out of the office, there was a time that I was working a 9 to 5 advertising job. And I also ran a virtual fitness business on the side. I also had 4 children at home that had soccer practice and hockey practice and all of the things. I also had a husband that is in the entertainment space. And so he was traveling a lot. And sometimes we were traveling with him. So I had a pretty packed schedule if you were to look at my schedule every week. So it was really important for me to fill in what are the things that are my true non-negotiables. Okay. Then I decided from there, where are the gaps in my day and where can I start adding things in that I want to make a priority. If I was saying, 5.5 years ago, I started working out at home again for the first time in a while. I needed to figure out when that was going to happen. I decided looking at my calendar that after work was just too busy because the kids were off. I was like getting home from work at 5:30, had to cook dinner. The kids were home from school by then and I had to do soccer practice. So I like begrudgingly decided that I had to get up and work out in the morning. If you follow me on social media, you might be shocked to know that I actually hate waking up early. I don't love it. But it's the only time that I have in my calendar that is unbroken by anybody else. Because even though I work from home right now and I have some gaps in my day, it's too late in the day for me to want to work out and do my mindset work. My kids are already up, they're at school, whatever. I still need to get up at 5:30 and get my things done because it's a priority to me. And I know if I don't do it then, it's probably not going to happen. I also know that I had to kind of work myself up to it. So as you are starting to fill in your calendar with these things that you're trying to add in and schedule your week, my best suggestion for you as you are new to starting to work out, you're like, I want to start working out. And yes, the mornings are the only time, but dear God, like I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. Sometimes it was a necessity, right? But you can start by creating space in your calendar and learning how to habit stack. So here's what I tell myself when I start a new habit or as part of my routine. When I started working out, I had to do a lot of things. It wasn't just working out. It was, I have to go to bed earlier. I had to set my alarm earlier. I had to wake up earlier. I had to get dressed and drink my pre-workout and drink some water. I would like trudge around the house for 15 minutes and I would read my personal development book. The routine that I have now is pretty extensive, right? But it starts with me setting my alarm and me setting aside that time. So I want you to give yourself the grace as you're creating this new routine, as you're trying to find time in your calendar to get that workout in or to start that project of make it a habit to take the time. Okay. So my other advice, if you're one of those people that you got to get up earlier to do the thing that you want to do, is set your alarm back in like 15 to 30-minute increments at a time. If you're like, oh, I want to start these hour-long workouts, it takes me going to the gym, like I have to get up 90 minutes earlier, give yourself a week or two to acclimate to that. Okay. Back your alarm up by 15 or 30 minutes at a time and do that for a few days in a row. Your body will adjust a little bit easier. And by, Friday, you're not going to be ready for a nap at 2 p.m. every day. So it helps your body kind of adjust a little bit. And here's the other thing. If you're like, but what's the point of me getting up for 30 minutes if I can't make it to the gym or whatever? What you're doing now is you're learning how to habit stack. So you wake up those 30 minutes earlier, you get your workout clothes on, maybe you drink a glass of water and you do some stretching, right? So you're training your brain to be active, be up, to be hydrated before you go get your workout in. Maybe you're going to start working out at home and you're not totally sure what you want to do yet. That's okay. It starts a little bit at a time. I would even say, I work in the online fitness space. And so all of my clients work out at home. And a suggestion that I make to them and one that I'll make to you is, who says that you have to finish the workout when you're first starting? Like, I know I'm a type A competitive athlete. I hate even saying like, you don't have to finish it. But if your goal is to work up to hour-minute workouts, what if you just start by pushing play on a 15-minute workout to start? Because the most important piece of it is that you're building the habit, right? And so you're slowly adjusting your schedule and you're not doing this like shock to your schedule system where all of a sudden you are trying to wake up earlier, but then, oh my gosh, then the kids are up and you're like having to adjust all of the things. So that's really key is add it in one thing at a time. So you are backing your schedule up 30 minutes at a time, right? And you start stacking your habits as you go through. You're able to start doing things as you're able to like comprehend that you're actually doing them, right? You start having these small wins. So there's one thing. The other thing that I will say that I do as I am organizing my day, organizing my to-do lists, is I like making my to-do lists in different lists. Honestly, I don't just have one rolling to-do list because I work from home. I have this business. I have stuff I got to do for the kids. I have the stuff I got to do for the home. And I put my to-do lists in different categories. And here's why. And here's where it makes me work more efficiently is that I know maybe you work out of the home or maybe you don't work at home, but you are doing things. You're cleaning the house and you are, scheduling the oil changes and you're doing the things. If you are going from task to task to task, your brain constantly has to shift out of what you're doing and like take a second to readjust. So if I am in the middle of, a 20-minute work block and I am talking to clients, I'm doing this thing, and then I like have the thought of like, oh my gosh, I need to schedule my daughter's dentist appointment. Stop what I'm doing, look up the dentist appointment, can't find the dentist, 15 minutes goes by, figure it out, make the phone call. Okay, great. Then I go back to what I was doing and I have to like recalibrate, and it gets me out of the zone and it takes that momentum away from me. So take advantage of the momentum that you have by organizing your to-do lists and your tasks during the week as you're scheduling things out. one category at a time. And maybe that applies to you, maybe it doesn't. For those of you that work from home, or you do work at home, or you have children and you just have like never ending to-do lists, really helpful to me. A good example of that is, let's say you're traveling, you're going on vacation in a week, your to-do list is probably crazy. It's probably crazy, right? Because you've got to go shopping, you've got to pack, you've got to confirm flight tickets and all of these things. It's probably best for you to make a separate to-do list for your travel to-do list versus your to-do list for your life to-do list, right? And then schedule in that time for each one of those categories differently, so that you just are in the same zone, right? You have the email pulled up for your confirmation, you know the dates, you're not having to just constantly reevaluate, right? That will help you stick to your task and get things done faster. So that was for my week. As I then schedule for my day, I will do the same thing that I do kind of at the beginning of the week, and I audit my last day. I take 5 minutes at the beginning of every day. You could also do this at the end of your day if you want to wake up and just get rolling. I will look back at my day and see how I did. I audit myself. Did I stick to what I said I was going to do? Am I rolling something over from my to-do list 3 days in a row? Should I just remove it and do it another time? Is this routine working? How am I feeling? Right? And decide that day, as you're scheduling your day, what you're going to do. And also prioritize, just like you do, in your monthly planning, your weekly planning, prioritize what 3 things do you want to get done that day? What are your non-negotiables? I know for me, my daily non-negotiables as far as my routine are journaling, doing personal development, and getting my workout in. They're non-negotiables for me. It doesn't matter if I'm traveling. Sometimes it's on the weekend and it's like a scheduled rest day for me, but it doesn't matter. Those are non-negotiables that I do. So you decide, what things do you have to get done? And when you schedule them in, maybe your non-negotiable that you need to happen every day because it's part of your priority is working for 30 minutes on that project that you keep putting off. But you have to schedule it in and treat it like it is an appointment, right? Because if you make an appointment, if your boss calls you in and you have an appointment, you don't skip it. If you make a doctor's appointment, you don't skip it. If you work with a personal trainer, you probably don't skip that appointment, right? Don't skip the appointment on yourself, because all you're doing is pushing back the thing that you said is a priority to you. And if it's a priority, you make it happen. It is a non-negotiable. So I hope that was helpful in helping you figure out how to plan your week, plan your day. The reflection process is a really big process that allows you to continue to audit how everything is going. And PS, as you're auditing, and I'll talk about this, in later videos, but give yourself the grace to figure it out. No one expects you to start this new routine, to get everything set up and to have it go flawlessly. It won't. Something is going to go wrong. You're going to miss your alarm one day. The kid's going to get sick one day. Like, something is going to go wrong, right? But allow yourself to show up imperfectly. And my best suggestion for you is to aim for B- effort. Like, give it your all effort, aim for B- results, I should say, so that by the end of the week, you should have been able to do most of the things, but allow yourself the grace that if something didn't work out, you now have this ability to track and see, because you've been tracking daily and weekly and figuring out, well, what worked, what didn't work, what could I do better? And as you're adjusting the week forward, a good habit to get into every week is asking, what's one thing that didn't go well that I should eliminate? And what's one thing that I can add? And maybe it's less about adding and subtracting, and it's just about switching something. Maybe you just need to work out 30 minutes earlier, or you just need to move that scheduled work block to after the kids go to bed, whatever it is, right? So hopefully that was helpful. I will see you guys in the next video.